This is William K. Murtaugh, Mert Witness 1, and welcome to the Thursday Bubble-thon. Now we have another day that Field McConnell is under house arrest, and very little, if anything, is being said about Field McConnell. He basically is out of the limelight, with one exception, and that is Tim Homseth. Tim Homseth keeps bringing his name up in his Facebook, but not quite as much. The one thing I've noticed about Tim Homseth is he has gone on with his little conspiracy theory tangent, and the conspiracy theories are getting wilder by the day. He's also picking a fight with Agent Margaritaville. He doesn't seem to want to let Agent Margaritaville go, which is not the brightest thing in the world to be doing. But, Tim Homseth isn't too bright to begin with. So he continues on, blasting away at his little conspiracy theories and generally making a fool of himself. In other news, we have Randy Q. Erickson kind of warming things up. Now, she attacked me the other day, as I said, with the counterfeit chats that Tim Homseth brilliantly tried to foist off on her. And I went ahead and went in there and I debated with these people, showed them how this evidence was false. And I also showed them the one time that I had come to Tim Homseth's defense and explained to him why I came to his defense and why it was probably the stupidest thing I've ever done in my life. Because Tim Homseth doesn't care. Once he gets his mindset on something, it doesn't matter what you try and do to appease him. He's just going to keep down this road. At the time, I mistakenly thought that he was being given a bum rap. That perhaps radio, being radio, was framing him, and I turned out to be wrong, because what I did subsequent to the one article that I wrote is I started checking into him a lot closer. And I did so by pulling up all the court records that he had done. And it took a lot of time, because this guy has so many lawsuits and legal complaints in the system, it took forever to track him down. But when I did, I got an eyeful. And it showed me just what a moron Tim Homseth is and what he's been claiming all these years. Now, as I stated, the Pentagon Pedophile Task Force is something that came out of thin air not too long ago. It was right about the time that Tim Homseth met Field McConnell. So it was probably something they dreamed up together when they met, as a good vehicle to get people in their corner and make money in the process, because there is money involved. And this came glaringly obvious with the Children's Crusade, because Field McConnell came right out and said anyone on the board of directors of the Children's Crusade who declare their belief in God is set to get a $60,000 a year salary. Now, in order to get that $60,000 a year salary after saying you're right with God, it's necessary to go out and get donations, because you have to fund this thing somehow. in order to get that kind of money. And so it is logical that you're going to sell things and have fundraisers to come up with this $60,000. And so right off the bat, the intent was to solicit donations. Now, also remember that Tim Holmseth solicited donations to pay for the Navy SEALs that were supposedly protecting him. And Phil McConnell did the same thing. You know, and when you figure what the average civilian salary would be for a private bodyguard, this adds up to a considerable amount of money. Because military pay isn't bad, it's not great, but it's not bad. So even if you were to pay him the military grade salary, it's still a pretty good piece of change. And civilian salaries are generally more than the military salaries. So when you figure you've got to pay the salary of the Navy SEALs and their food and lodging, this adds up to a considerable amount of money. And this is the bill of goods that Tim Holmseth and Phil McConnell were selling to the public. And the money just came pouring in. And guess what? There were no Navy SEALs. Never has been, never will be. And yet these people sucked it right up. And it amazes me that today people still believe in this stuff, because you see them on there in the debate against me. They just refuse to budge. Which, you know, it's no surprise to me. This is how these cults work. They do a one-way street belief system. They control people to the point where they don't have a mind of their own. In some cases, they'll make up fake Facebook accounts just so they have people there to comment on their channel. And this way they can control the narrative. And one thing they've started to do on Twitter is they've started telling people not to follow certain accounts and to block certain accounts. And mine is one of them. You know, they don't want people hearing opposing points of view. They don't want to hear the criticism. So the first thing they do out of the gate is they say, don't pay attention to this account or that account. Don't listen to this account or that account. It's quote-unquote fake news. And so this is how you control dissent. Is you make it so people cannot hear anything that would give them a doubt as to what you're doing being legitimate. You know, it's the kind of control you get in a cult, because the first thing a cult does is cut you off from outside influences. Friends, relatives, anyone that would be opposed to the group gets cut off immediately. You stop talking to your friends, your relatives, brothers, sisters, parents, you name it. It's cult-like behavior. And they isolate. That's what they did with Phil McConnell. They isolated him. Cut him off from all contact. Controlled his contact. They tried to do it with Tim Holmseth, and to a large extent they've succeeded. Because Tim Holmseth refuses to listen to outside dissent. You know, Randy is controlling the narrative. And that's why they're able to get people to believe in things like the Pentagon Pedophile Task Force. Now, we've come full circle a little bit with the war between Tim Holmseth and Kurt Pendergrass. Now, as I've stated time and again, there comes a time when Tim Holmseth will turn on you if he feels it's in his best interest. And he's done it to Kirk Pendergrass. Kirk Pendergrass is now the pedophile. Kirk Pendergrass is now the enemy. When before, during his trial and hearings, and he's in Polk County, Minnesota, E-Claus and Kirk Pendergrass were the best thing in the world, and they were great. They were the saviors. They were going to get Tim Holmseth out of his predicament. And they didn't do a damn thing. And then all of a sudden, it shifted over that they were going to help Phil McConnell out and get him out of his predicament. And as time went on, and that there was no progress made, this created a problem. The blame game started up, and the first thing that came out of Kirk Pendergrass was that Tim Holmseth and Randy Erickson were the problem. At first, he put the blame largely on Randy Erickson, saying that her control and her interference was causing problems. And then eventually it melted Tim Holmseth into the mix. And there is now an open declaration that Tim Holmseth and Kirk Pendergrass are no longer friends. That they are now enemies. And when you become an enemy of Timothy Charles Holmseth, you become a pedophile. And so Kirk Pendergrass has now been moved into the pedophile column. And by association, I suppose that would go for Chris Hallett. That these two are now in the pedophile column. So welcome to my world, guys. You are now on Tim Holmseth's pedophile list. How's it feel? How you like it? How you like being accused of being a pedophile? Because that's exactly what's happening here. He's going to start intensifying. You come back to him with a response, he's going to come back to you with a response, and he's going to start digging into your history, and he's going to find a reason to call you a pedophile. And you'll be on the same level as Montegraph. Because everybody's calling Montegraph a pedophile simply because Montegraph disagrees with Tim Holmseth's narrative. This is what happens. Men and women alike, doesn't matter who you are, you're automatically a pedophile. You're automatically in this P column. You're part of the deep state. You're part of this plot. You want to assassinate them, set them up, do all this stuff. You're all in that column now. And so I don't know what Kirk Pendergrass is going to do. Is he going to try and ignore Tim Holmseth? Is he going to fight back? Doesn't matter what you do. You're on the list now, guys. And so you're going to get mentioned from time to time. You know, once you're on the P list, you don't come off it. It's permanent. Doesn't matter what happens. You will always be on that P list. So welcome to our world. Now, Randy Erickson's going after Kim Picazio again, stating the lie that she wants to kill Tim Holmseth. She doesn't want to kill Tim Holmseth. And apparently, somebody doesn't know the English language, doesn't know when something is a question, and so on and so forth. But, you know, that's the way it goes with this crowd. They're going to twist the truth into a lie. That's just the way they are. Kim Picazio does not want to kill Tim Holmseth. Number one, it wouldn't be worth it. It would only make matters worse. You know, when you start thinking things logically and think, what would happen if I were to kill Tim Holmseth? Well, A, I'd probably go to jail. You know, unless you're Casey Anthony, you're not going to get away with murder. If you're not Zimmerman, you're not going to get away with murder. So it ain't going to happen. You would go to jail. And Tim Holmseth is not worth going to jail. It's not worth having his death on your conscience. So nobody's going to kill Tim Holmseth. But in order to create drama and create sympathy for little Timmy, Randy Erickson has to make up this lie. Now, it seems kind of weird that someone would say, while being videotaped, that they're going to kill somebody and it not be hidden. I mean, there were people surrounding Kim Picasio. Alex was there, Kim, Kurt Pendergrass, and whoever the hell it was taking the video. There were people there, and there were witnesses. And if Kim Picasio had really declared that she wanted to kill Tim Holmseth, Kim Picasio would be in jail right now. Because I guarantee you, one of these people would have picked up the phone and called the cops and say, arrest her ass. She threatened to kill Tim Holmseth, press secretary for the Pentagon Pedophile Task Force. And guess what? It didn't happen because she didn't say that. She asked a question. And there's no law against asking a question. And the funny thing is about all this is that in the same breath, Randy Erickson is supporting someone who wants to kill Kim Picasio, and that is Bill McConnell. Bill McConnell has said it a dozen times on his show. Bill McConnell showed a picture of the decapitated head of Kim Picasio. Death is on that man's mind every day on his show, or was. And there's some statements by Kurt Pendergrass that seem to indicate that he went along with this idea. You know, executing is killing somebody. Even if it's by an authorized government or entity or what have you, you're killing somebody. So by wanting to execute Kim Picasio, Bill McConnell wanted to kill her. And so did anybody that supported her. Supported him, and that means, by extension, that Tim Holmseth wanted to kill Kim Picasio, because he is directly affiliated with the organization run by Bill McConnell, the Pentagon Pedophile Task Force. If you're calling for the assassination of somebody, you want to kill them. He hid behind the fictional Pentagon Pedophile Task Force, but that's not going to get him out of it. You know, he has expressed his desire to kill Kim Picasio, right along with Bill McConnell. And another thing that Randy Q. Erickson and her followers have shown is that they do not believe in due process. They do not believe in the concept of innocent until proven guilty. They believe that if they think someone's guilty, they're guilty. End of story. They don't want to hear anything else. They're brainwashed. The comments on Randy Q. Erickson's Facebook page prove it. Nobody is questioning whether or not it's right to declare someone guilty without due process. They just say, she's guilty, end of story, based on a 10-year-old book and the rantings of an unemployed pizza delivery driver. That's where we're at. Now, for the most part, Randy Erickson's gone back to the QAnon theories. Her interpretations of what QAnon is saying and going down that road. But every once in a while she pops back and targets Tim's perceived enemies. And it's going to coast along like that for a while. Because these people have nowhere to go. They're diminishing. Their numbers are going way down. Now, it's getting to be where it's just a core group of people now. Nobody's going near Field McConnell's YouTube channel to use the comment section. Because that's how you weigh where people at, is the number of responses you get on a channel, and they're not there. There's nothing there. The view numbers aren't there. There's just simply nothing there. Eventually, once all the legal paperwork is worked out, Field McConnell's channel will be gone. His emails will be gone. Now, that was another thing. Tim Holmsath seems to realize this, because he made the admission in his blog that Phil McConnell has been ordered to remove his social media presence off the internet. Everything. Now, Tim Holmsath makes the false accusation that Florida wants to destroy the evidence and wants to silence him. And that's not true, because the state of Florida can't do that. Nobody can. The internet won't allow it. Everybody, friend and foe, has archived every bit and byte of the files that are on the internet, either by or about Phil McConnell. Well, what's going to happen is Phil McConnell is not going to be able to generate any new material. Period. And Phil McConnell has no one else to blame but himself, because he listened to Timothy Charles Holmsath. If Phil McConnell had not listened to Timothy Charles Holmsath, he could talk about his conspiracy theories until he was blue in the face, until people got tired of it. Well, once he crossed the line and started talking about killing somebody and inciting violence and calling for violence against somebody, he sealed his fate. And it was Tim Holmsath that talked him into it, along with the controllers of Tim Holmsath. They brainwashed Phil McConnell. What should be the defense strategy here is to put the blame squarely on the shoulders of Tim Holmsath. It's called mitigation. You mitigate your actions by pointing out circumstances that took place that you had no control over. And one of those circumstances is Tim Holmsath and his influence on your actions. He's the one you direct your attention to. This is what the handler should be doing. Now we have a new player in the game, and I'll discuss this to some extent. And that is the guy who claims to be JFK Jr. Now this guy's turned out to be a piece of work. It turns out, according to documents that I looked at, I was sent a boatload of documents. This guy pistol whipped his daughter. That's child abuse. So that means that Tim Holmseth has got himself an ally that's alleged to have engaged in child abuse. I thought this is what Tim Holmseth was fighting. But rather than fight child abuse, he surrounds himself with people that conduct it. And the ex-wife of this individual has made some statements. And so once again, in this group, we have someone that's had problems with women. With women they are affiliated with, be it a wife, sister, daughter. Women again. These guys have problems with women. Every single solitary one of them. It's a pattern. So here we are, everybody. We got it again. All these people that have problems with women. Isn't that something? That JFK Jr. is a wife beater. Is a child beater. Abuses children. Randy Erickson uses material on her show that was generated by the sister of a convicted pedophile. 4 counts. Lewd acts in the presence of a minor. That's pedophilia. Her then husband had the child take pictures of her private area, her sex organs. A child. That's child abuse. You know, this is the kind of people that Randy Erickson and Tim Holmseth are associating themselves with. It's amazing. And people don't care. You know, this is the part that gets me. It's weird that people believe that JFK Jr. is alive to begin with. Yeah, it's dumb in its own right. But when it comes out, the history of these people, you have people that don't pay child support, people that beat up their kids, people that beat up their wives, people that say gross things about their sisters, ex-wives, so on and so forth. People go right along with it because they're out to save the kids. Doesn't matter if one of their friends beat the crap out of one of them, they're out to save the other kids. It's really, really, really something. It shows the degree of hypocrisy with this crowd. That they can condone this kind of behavior. And they can just ignore it. Say, yeah, somebody's trying to frame them. Somebody probably planted fake court papers. Somebody ripped the mirror down off their car to put drugs in behind it and then put the mirror back. Or else somebody crawled underneath their car and knifed the tire and somehow managed to get out from under the car before they got flattened. People believe this stuff because of the messenger and their message, and not the truth. Because truth, logic, and common sense does not apply when you're in a cult. That all goes out the window when you get involved in a cult. You get indoctrinated. You get groomed. And it becomes a rule to shun the outsiders, to shun the doubt, to shun anyone that is off message. And as long as you behave yourself, you can be a member of the group. You can be a member of the cult. But if you start voicing your criticism, bringing doubt into it, saying what you're doing isn't right, that who you're associating with is wrong, and then you need to correct this, that, and the other thing, you're going to be thrown out because you're going off message. You're letting the Satanists influence you, the non-believers. You know, it's funny. If you are not a member of a certain political leaning with this group, or even if you're a member of the political leaning and you go off message, you're an outcast. So, I guess the only thing that I would advise here is those who are on the outside of this group is to just sit and watch their actions. Don't interact with them. Don't even try, because it's not going to work. These people are going to keep on keeping in. They're not going to listen to you. If you interact too intensely, they're going to accuse you of being part of the group that eats babies, drinks their blood, traffics these kids, and so on and so forth. You'll become the new pedophile, the new Satanist, and so on. And I'm going to get back here. I lost track as I had to stop. Help somebody out. The comments that I've been getting on my YouTube channel bear this out. I'm not a Republican. I have a point of view in regards to the political situation that goes against the grain of a certain number of people. And because of that, they say, oh, I'm not welcome here. My money's not welcome here. I'm not this. I'm not that. Which is not true. Virtually 90% of the people that tune in to my YouTube and my live stream are politically opposite of me. They're Trump supporters, adamant Trump supporters, but they're welcome. Because whether or not somebody believes in a candidate for office, whether or not somebody believes in the philosophy of the candidate, the political party, or what have you, that's not why we're here. We're here because people like Tim Holmseth, Field McConnell, Kirk Pendergrass, Randy Q, and all these others are lying. And they're taking advantage of people with their lies. They're making money off it. They're committing wire fraud. They're collecting funds under false pretenses. Timothy Charles Holmseth declares that he is the official spokesperson, press agent, press secretary, whatever you want to call him, for the Pentagon Pedophile Task Force. And by making that statement, he is declaring himself an agent of the United States government. He is the representative of a government agency. That's a felony because it doesn't exist. There is no Pentagon Pedophile Task Force. It doesn't exist. Randy Q. Erickson is declaring the same thing. She's declaring by default that she is somehow a part of this operation. So she is also impersonating an agent of the United States government. By any saying, once she declares herself as part of the Pentagon Pedophile Task Force in any way, she's guilty of the same felony. You know, and Kirk Pendergrass is practicing law without a license. So is Mr. Elliott. And eventually, they're going to get prosecuted for it. They're under investigation right now. So eventually, these people are going to get caught. They're going to get arrested. Just a matter of time. You know, and the government's basically letting them have all the rope they need to hang themselves. The government's not going to swoop in right away, start rounding these people up, because they want all the evidence they can possibly get. They want the numbers to be there. They want a solid case. And when the time's right, they're gonna rush in and they're gonna start putting bracelets on people. And the Absug case is going to be one of those that are going to do it. Because Cynthia Absug is cooperating with the authorities. You know, she's talked to the FBI. She's talked to the Colorado investigators. The testimony is there. The sealed indictments are ready to go. And so eventually, stuff is going to start hitting the fan. Anybody that was involved with Cynthia Absug in this farce where she was going all over the United States, getting paid to stay in hotels and offered diplomatic passports and everything, you people are going to get arrested. Just a matter of time. The statute of limitations is quite long on the offenses that you have the potential to be, years. Several years. So the FBI doesn't have to arrest you tomorrow or next week. They can arrest you anytime they damn well please. And so can the State Department. The State Department's the one that's interested in all these passports. So the Department of State's in on this little fiasco. So eventually somebody's going to have some bracelets to wear. And people are going down. Yeah, it's going to be the Bad Boys music playing in the background. When the little Suburbans with their license plates on the front start pulling up. Now, as of this recording, I have not heard from the courthouse in Broward County on the court transcripts and on other things that I requested through public records request. It's going to take some time to get this stuff together, but when I do, we'll discuss it, and I'll go through in detail what's in all this paperwork. One thing I got to do is I got to get about $150 up, because that's what it's going to cost for the transcripts, because it's a private contractor that does court reporting, and the number of pages involved and everything, I'm looking at somewhere around $150. So as soon as I get that, I'll be getting the paperwork. So that's where we're at. But God bless you all. Have a good day. This is William K. Murtaugh, Witness 1. Have a good one.